Final score, Wrexham 1, Bolton Wanderers 0, which means we're in the semi-finals of the Vertu Trophy. Third time we got this far, and we are 90 minutes away from Wembley. A home game against Peterborough United will decide whether we get to head down to London for the final of this competition. And, well, this is a very pleasing win. I mean, let's not forget, this is the rotated side, pretty much the same one that beat Port Vale. So a lot of players in this who were starting in that disappointment against Stevenage, and it was good to see them perform in this manner. Bolton are a good team, and they're under new manager Stephen Schumacher, who clearly is working through what their options are, and they, I thought, looked very good on occasions with the ball. They clearly were looking to base themselves on possession play and had some good players. I mean, they were a half and half team, really. They sort of, with the exception of 3 players on the bench who were experienced, one of whom, Aaron Collins, was carrying an injury, were pretty much at full strength in terms of what they were able to pick, because they had 3 players cup tied and 1 more suspended and injuries as well. So it was a decent strength Bolton team. Wrexham gave Jack Marius his first start since that nasty injury that he picked up early in the season, just when he was on fire. And he was involved in the first instant, 45 seconds in. Everything seems to happen early in Wrexham games now, doesn't it? It was nothing really, but it was fun. Ball back to backs to the goalkeeper. Really horrible miscontrol by him, and Marius, of course, chases everything, and he's herring after him. The crowd getting very excited. If at that point Baxter had panicked, then yeah, maybe I wouldn't be saying it wasn't really anything. But he didn't. He kept calm. It was no real big deal. He was able to release the ball before Mario got close. And from then on, the rest of the next opening, 15, 20 minutes or so, very much belonged to Bolton. They moved the ball well. I mean, ironically, one of the changes they made, Thomason coming in midfield, is because he's suspended in the league last Saturday and next Saturday, but he can play in this game. And he's a first team player. He's quality on the ball, and he was so good, I thought, moving the ball about, keeping calm under pressure. He was the fulcrum of things, I felt. Sheehan working alongside him, another quality midfielder. They were a good combination. They dovetailed nicely, and they were keeping them possession going with a box midfield that was just causing Wrexham a few problems. It took us a while to work out who's going to pick up the extra man. On the flanks, Jones and particularly Dakers Cogley were really getting the forwards well. And I tell you what, on his own up front, Adebayo was terrific. I thought he was holding the ball up so well and really bringing people into play nicely when he was isolated. He was strong, he was quick, he was chasing things, and they looked very good. Of course, Clyde Lolos, a player that we've seen a bit for, playing against us last season for Crawley, as well as this season for Bolton, is a dangerous customer too, and a sort of player who, when you're defending deep, can strike the ball and cause you problems, as we would find in the first half. And they started making chances. It was actually Johnston, the left-sided centre-back, playing balls forwards that were causing issues. Firstly, and this would have been a lucky one, a mishit cross by him was heading into the far top corner. Okonkwo, great movement, and of course great stretch and touch to tip it over the bar. But those long arms, of course, he's got a good reach, and he took total advantage of it. Then again, Johnston looking to be progressive, feeding a straight ball down the left hand side. Brunt got a bit underneath it and it flicked off the top of his head, and Dakers Cogley racing down in the left channel into the box, but Okonkwo stood firm really well. Dakers Cogley struck it cleanly, but a really good parry by Okonkwo. Wrexham came back into the game, and I would say we were the better side in the middle of the match. Longman was starting to get at Dakers Cogley and delivered a stream of crosses in. We weren't really getting on the end of them, but importantly, it was forcing Dakers Cogley back, so he wasn't causing us so many problems going forwards. Wrexham's midfield started to get a bit more of a grip on the ball. George Evans was pinging the ball around confidently, and we were starting to get, like I said, our wing backs into the game more. Revan did well going forwards. But we didn't really create any chances, to be frank. And at the end of the half, Bolton came on strong again, grabbed control of the match once more, and had some opportunities to go in ahead. Firstly was that Lolos moment, a corner played in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Bolton already had a couple of corners where they managed to release through blocking off a centre-back beyond the far post, and they hadn't made the most of it. On this occasion, Toll tried to attack it in the middle of the 6-yard box and doesn't quite make it, but the ball carries through to Lolos. Brilliant strike by him. The ball's rearing up at him left of centre, just outside the box. He does superbly. It's a horrible height to keep on top of it, and here's a really clean volley straight back on target. Fair play to Mo Farrell, who's back there in the 6-yard box defending. He didn't flinch and got his firm head and headed it away, and the danger was gone. Then a free kick for Sheehan, sort of short corner. He sweeps the ball in. Toll gets a touch on this one, lovely flick, which looks like it's going across the keeper and on target. It's a crowded 6-yard box though, and it appears to hit Adebayo in front of goal and bounce clear. I thought at the time Wrexham player got away, but no, I think he's hit one of his teammates. In the last minute of the half, there's an opportunity too, and it's a great piece of work by Okonkwo to keep the score level. Johnson feeding the ball forward, Adebayo again holding it up well edge of the area and working it back to Sheehan. Great work by Sheehan, who fakes to go one way then the other to beat his man and drills a powerful shot from the edge of the box. Excellent save by Okonkwo, who dives down low, stretches his right arm out, full extension, and makes a great save. So half-time 0-0. Not as one-sided as I've made it sound, but the truth is it was only Bolton who were really creating anything really worth mentioning. The second half, Wrexham do better, although for the first 15-20 minutes we have more of the ball. We're not being threatened by Bolton really. Having said that, we're not again creating all that much. O'Connor had a good burst down the left channel. His shirt pulled just outside the box. Ref plays advantage, and O'Connor, a bit off balance, drills in the shot which is blocked by a defender. I think I can see why the ref gave advantage, but it was a shooting position, the free kick. I think Wrexham would have preferred to have the free kick and have a pop at goal. Shortly after that, and with substitutes ready to come on, clearly Marius and Farrell were going to come off. There was a little moment where Farrell could have potentially forced to rethink. A great burst down the right channel by him. Bolton's defence looking a bit lopsided. Johnson had got stepped forward to join in with play. Farrell broke into the space that he'd vacated and carried us to the edge of the box, where he's denied by a tremendous challenge by Toll coming across from the other side of the back three. Marius was unmarked in the middle and was furious he didn't get the ball played into him. I think, to be fair to Farrell though, firstly he had to drive forwards, and by the time that no longer was the best option. I don't think the pass to Marius was on, or if it was, it would have been a difficult one. So I have sympathy with Farrell in that. A lot of sympathy with Marius as well. He'd love to tap in, I'm sure. At the other end then, there was a great piece of defending to match Toll's efforts by Brunt. Thomason sweeping the ball in to Dacres Cogley on the right hand side. He drove a wicked ball into the edge of the 6-yard box, and Lawless looked to be getting there first with a simple finish. Brunt lunged in superbly and managed to beat him to it at full stretch. He had sort of rolled on the ball for a little bit like a foam roller, and the danger was gone by the time he'd finished his progress across. And Wrexham were grateful to him. He had a good game, as we'll get to later. Then Wrexham having a pop. O'Connor just time 30 yards out, and he strikes the ball well, doesn't he? He hits it really well. Too straight though, and the keeper's able to hold on to it. George Evans has a go as well from distance, which is a bit optimistic, although we have seen him strike the ball incredibly well, but he pulls it wide of the left post. Before Bolton then breaking forwards. Again, Adebayo doing really well, holding the ball up. When he helps her on to McAtee, he drives into the right channel. It's a dangerous situation. He goes for power though, and he misses the target at the near post. It's a miss which will cost Bolton, because in the 71st minute, 4 minutes later, Wrexham are ahead. Lovely goal by Andy Cannon. George Evans has been doing really well, sitting deep in midfield and playing progressive passes. He feeds Cannon in space. Cannon takes on Sheehan, just like Sheehan had done earlier to get his shot off that Okonkwo saved, fakes to go one way and then really neatly gets onto the other foot. He sent Sheehan down the road to get a newspaper from the shops. By the time Sheehan realises what's happened, Cannon's got on his right foot, hits a shot from a good 25 yards, and it's a hell of a finish. Baxter doesn't really move. And I've got to be honest, at the time I thought, oh, I didn't see a deflection, but maybe there was for the keeper to be rooted to the spot like that. I don't think so. I think it's more that Cannon has really put a nice little bit of loop on this. He's set it out outside the post and it's curled back in. I think Baxter maybe just thinks it's going wide. And then by the time he realises, oh, hang on, this is coming back towards me, it's too late. By this point, Wrexham are looking on top. I forgot to mention what actually happened to those substitutions. The 63rd minute, Parkinson, who I'm sure will have been not too worried by the balance of play, but we were a little slow building up, and when Bolton got into their mid-block, we were passing it around in front of them a bit too much. Made a quadruple change. So Rathbone on for Elliot Lee. Sam Smith came on for Jack Marriott. Jay Rodriguez came on for Mo Farl. And, how about this for luxury, Ryan Barnett comes on for Ryan Longman. And they all immediately inject something. From that point on, I would argue Wrexham were the better side fairly comfortably. Rathbone's energy as ever is terrific and he uses the ball well, but he's just there all the time whenever you need him. Barnett, as I'll say at the moment, nearly scores. And again, does a good solid job down the right. And then up front, Smith and Rodriguez just bring a bit of sharpness, a bit of freshness. Rodriguez, well, it doesn't quite work out for him on occasions, but you can see what he's thinking and you think, this guy's got some pedigree. In Smith, well, Smith, a very confident striker, of course, who is making great runs, his movement's superb, who's causing problems with the centre-backs physically. And 3 minutes after the goal, he has a go with a shot, which had it gone in would have been magnificent. Bursting down the left-hand side, long diagonal to him, and he meets it on the volley. Left wing, 25 yards out, sort of Lily Jones territory. But he hits it on the volley, it's a hell of a strike. But, from that angle, it's going to have to be right in the corners and the keeper is able to hold on to it. And Wrexham keep pushing on. It's gratifying to see Wrexham defending the 1-0 lead when we're on top by continuing to push on. And so with 5 minutes left, Bolton still haven't been able to rouse themselves for a big finish. Cannon does well with a flick over his man, which finds Barnett. This is that chance he has. Barnett typically accelerates on the ball, carries it from the halfway line to inside the box, right channel. And Smith now is really, he's turning himself inside out with his movement at the far post. He's moving beautifully to try and make himself available for Barnett. And until just before he hits it, I think you feel, come on, give it to Smith. But actually Barnett decides to carry on. They back off him a bit more than I think you'd expect. And I think Barnett's got every right to carry on and hit it. Unfortunately, he slices it though, and it goes off target from about 8-9 yards out. Very easy to be clever after the event and say, he should have given it to Smith. But the way they backed off, I think Barnett was quite right. Just keep going and hit it. With 3 minutes left and the onslaught's still not coming yet, we make an interesting change. Andy Cannon comes off, Max Cleworth comes on, but we don't disrupt the back three by pushing O'Connor up into midfield. Instead, Cleworth plays in midfield. We've seen him play in the holding midfield role before, but he plays as the right-sided midfielder in the midfield three on this occasion, which was interesting. Let's be honest, it's a reaction to the situation, because Dacres Cogley is still looking dangerous on the left, and they've now brought on a Say 2-2, who's dangerous alongside him on the left, and so they have that combination going. They switch to a 4-3-3, and so Cleworth can give extra support, can't he, to Ryan Barnett dropping back and using that central defensive nous, and also his physicality to win challenges in midfield. I think he will do both, doubling up with Barnett effectively and winning some 50-50s. At the other end, Bolton have got a couple of other subs on. They basically had 3 experienced subs on the bench. They've thrown on Aaron Collins, who was supposed to be unfit for the game, but actually ended up on the bench and coming on. And, of course, they brought on James McAtee, who is such a talented, creative and a player and finisher. And right at the end of the 90, they carve out their chance. Like I said, the onslaught doesn't really come. So Bolton don't get to throw the kitchen sink at us, and that is a testament to how well we control matters. We defend well in our mid-block, and we rarely really drop any deeper than that, which is how we want it to be. And we have a lot of the ball, to be fair, as well, in the closing stages. Like I said, we were taking the game to Bolton. But we did have one incredible let-off, so 90th minute. And it's Osei Tutu first on the left-hand side, trying to cause problems, trying to go at people. In the end, the ball goes back to Dacres Cogley, and he tries a shot from the edge of the area. Evans blocks it easily, but he doesn't see where it goes, and he's rooted to the spot as it drops next to him. Collins is very alert and turns it round the corner in the left channel, and McAtee is one-on-one with Okonkwo. Tight-ish angle, but he's only about 6 yards out. This is a hell of a chance. Okonkwo spreads himself. McAtee finishes beautifully across him, except it hits the post and bounces out again. It looked like it was going to hit the post and go in. We were right behind the shot, but it hits the post and goes clear. It's smashed away, and ultimately Wrexham negotiate the 4 added minutes comfortably, and we go through. It would be remiss of me not to mention the referee. Bolton were not happy with Ross Joyce. They felt there were a number of decisions that didn't go their way. I thought he was a bit inconsistent to both teams, if I'm perfectly honest. I think there were a couple that were fouls on Bolton players that he didn't give, and you think, well, why on earth did you not give that? And maybe Cannon was a little lucky he got booked and then went in with his studs high. It was definitely a misjudgment, it's got to be said. But I think Dacres Cogley, fair play to him, probably helped Cannon out by just dusting himself off and getting up again. I think if he'd made a drama of it, the referee, well, certainly would have had a decision to make on whether to give Cannon the second yellow. I don't know that they were robbed in that regard, though. Bolton, a few midfield decisions definitely didn't go their way. But no, I think that the bottom line was that they moved the ball around well, looked good, but didn't control the game for all of the first half, and I'd say Wrexham were maybe slightly better in the second half than they were, and they didn't make the chances that maybe their possession play warranted. They look a good team, though, to be fair. They looked more the strong team that we thought they would be than they did in the 0-0 up at Bolton earlier in the season. Looking at the Wrexham performances then, Okonkwo excellent again, 2 very good saves, and it looks like his post-injury sort of issues settling in are resolved now. Let's hope so. The centre-backs did well. Scar, I thought, was very good in the middle, and especially in the second half when Wrexham were driving forwards, he was constantly on the front foot, played some nice long passes as well out to the flanks, and was very aggressive, winning the ball in the air, making sure that we penned Bolton in, which he did for some periods. Either side of him, again, Brunt and O'Connor, both excellent, both carried the ball forwards well in their different ways. O'Connor, of course, is quite considered in the way that he links up play. Brunt just loves those accelerations, driving up the pitch in a straight line. Both of them did that at good effect. Both of them defended very well too, and you know, sometimes it's a tricky one, isn't it, when you see defenders marking the one striker. They handled things well, and Judge went to step up and help out in midfield well after a bit of a sort of scary start. Longman, I thought, did well in the first half, got some decent crosses in, looked threatening when he was running at his man, didn't have any defensive issues. Revan did very well, I thought. Nice to see him on the left-hand side, which is his position, isn't it? Let's be honest, driving forwards, looking confident on the ball, and he did well defensively too. George Evans anchoring midfield, I think was man of the match, just about. He did well, his distribution was excellent, his reading of the game was very, very good as well. He kept the ball moving. Cannon got the goal and was full of energy as ever. We just shifted them a bit narrower, it seemed, after the substitutions, the quadruple substitutions, and he did very well and capitalised with a goal. Lee was tidy as well, but was given a break, maybe with an eye on Saturday. But yeah, he had a tidy game without hitting the heights of the Port Vale match. But then that's not easy. And then up front, Farl again did well. Good wholehearted performance, fighting against the centre-backs. Marius was full of energy and eagerness and was getting a bit frustrated when some of the crosses didn't come in when he wanted them to, but he's continuing his comeback. He looked sharp. Off the bench, yeah, Smith and Rodriguez made a difference. Like I said, Rodriguez reads the game well. A couple of his passes had a little bit too much on them, but you could see he was always aware of Smith's movements and he's developing that understanding. Smith's running is terrific. He's an exciting player, a proper natural striker. The other subs, like I said, Barnett did a good job down the right-hand side and had that one chance and wasn't troubled at all defensively, and Rathbone was terrific. And those four coming on, I think, really lifted Wrexham up a level and was what decided the match in the end. We were doing all right, but once they came on, we were the better side, and ultimately we got a goal. It was a good cup tie. It was entertaining. Bolton's superb support was noisy throughout. It was very impressive. But we go through, and so we'll play Peterborough in a fortnight to see whether we can actually get to Wembley. Exciting times, in case you hadn't noticed. With the final score of Wrexham 1, Peterborough 0, I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.